Hey everyone, welcome back to What's New with Emmy. I'm your host, Ali Madawi, and here is what's happening right now. From ceasefires to controversies with the nuance, the absurd, and the human scale behind the headlines. So let's get into it. Gaza ceasefire and hostage exchange. It's fragile peace, nation's hope, and context with a little bit of key facts that you need to know. A U.S. brokered ceasefire deal has triggered a massive hostage prisoner swap, 20 Israeli hostages freed by Hamas, and nearly 2,000 Palestinian detainees released by Israel. But hold on. Only 4 of the 28 bodies of the deceased hostages have been returned, prompting Israel to have its aid shipment into Gaza as the so-called penalty for delay. Ceasefire terms call for the hostages alive and dead to be returned within 72 hours, though sides agreements allow for updates if delays occurred. Meanwhile, violence hasn't completely vanished. Israeli forces opened fire on people they said approached military lines, killing several Palestinians. The Rafah crossing, often the lifeline for Gaza aid, is closed through Wednesday, further tightening the squeeze. From Israel's perspective, the slow return of bodies is being cast as proof that Hamas is violating the deal. Having aid is framed as accountability. Some in Israel call this as a moment to shift from war to diplomacy. From Hamas and Palestinian voices, they highlight the massive destruction and chaos in Gaza, logistical challenges in locating bodies under the rubble, and accuse Israel of resuming shelling despite the truce. Internal tension. Hamas has redeployed 7,000 security forces to cleanse Gaza of alleged collaborators arresting or clashing with clan factions like the Dugmush group. Critics warn this could spark civil conflicts. International and humanitarian voices, the UN specifically, is pushing for expelled aid, aiming to reach 2.1 million people, and is urging both parties to fully comply. Aid agencies warn that delays will cost lives. Skepticism and fatigue, where some analysts warn the deal is pause, not peace. The real test lies in durable enforcement, reconstructions, and whether new governance emerges. Picture a family waiting years for news of a loved one finally hearing they'll be returned, but then waiting again, unsure whether that promise is real or is just actual fragile. The pain, confusion, hope, and grief are simultaneous. Imagine a ceasefire being hailed like a Netflix pause button where we're all watching and we're hoping it doesn't glitch and resume the actual nightmare. So here's what we're watching for. Will Hamas deliver all deceased hostages in full and on time? Will Israel restore full aid flows? Or will shrinking deliveries worsen famine? Will international monitors be allowed in and impeded? Will internal Gaza infighting tear apart the fragile orders? So many questions. Pentagon's new media journalist rules: press versus power. Here's the details and the stakes. So the Pentagon, under Secretary Pete Hegseth, unveiled a policy requiring journalists covering the department to sign a pledge. No reporting of unauthorized info, even if it is unclassified, limited and escorted movement, and risk of losing press credentials if rules are broken. Media outlets like AP, NYT, Reuters, CNN, and more have publicly rejected signing. The Pentagon defense is positioned as common sense procedures and argues that access is a privilege, not a right. The Pentagon Press Association, as well as freedom of press groups, decry the rules as unprecedented restrictions and intimidation. One American News, on the other hand, OAN, is a standout. It actually agreed to sign. Now, the defense and the pro-administration angle commentators, they claimed unauthorized leaks undermine national security and soldier safety. They say the rules merely formalize what informally always existed. Media and civil liberties defenders, well, they argue the rules constitute prior restraints, limiting speech before it actually happens, violating the First Amendment and chilling investigative journalism, and of course, as they claim, enabling censorship. Some argue the rules are so vaguely worded, unauthorized information, the almost anything could be deemed off limits, given arbitrary enforcement power. Others, on the other hand, well, they say if the Pentagon wants transparency, letting journalists roam free isn't the answer. But the approach of forced pledges is the wrong tool. Think about the journalists embedded in military briefings, trying to report objectively, now are facing a contract that says you can't report unless we let you. The tension between access and independence is brutal. Next thing you know, Pentagon will hand out press badge bingo. You've strayed from the acceptable narrative, badge revoked. So will courts intervene? Will major outlets continue coverage without Pentagon access? Will selective enforcement target critical outlets? Will this set a precedent for other federal bodies to do the same exact thing? Now let's move to Letitia James indictment and NYC mayoral backlash. Here are the key facts and a timeline. So Letitia James, New York State Attorney General, was indicted in Virginia on bank fraud and false statement charges tied to a 2020 mortgage on Norfolk, Virginia home where she claimed as a second residence, but allegedly she rented it out. Prosecutors say she misrepresented the property usage to get better mortgage terms, allegedly saving $18,933. James denied wrongdoing, calling the charges baseless, and accused the DOJ of political retribution. But in her first public rally since the indictment at Zohran Mamdani's NYC campaign event, she declared, "I will not bow," endorsed him, and framed her case as part of a larger democratic struggle. New York Governor Kathy Hochul also reacted, accusing federal prosecutors of weaponization of the Justice Department. Supporters, Democratic base, and Black leadership, well, they see this as a pattern. Trump-era prosecution targeting political rivals. They argue it's selective targeting, especially because James has gone after Trump and his allies. On the other hand, critics, Republicans, and opponents say, no one is above the law. Regardless of past activism, if charges are valid, she must face consequences. Some point out possible hypocrisy given her legal campaigns. NYC mayoral race dynamics, where James' endorsement and Mamdani's ties her legal drama directly into local politics. Opponents claim she's meddling while under indictment. And media and legal commentators, well, they debate strength of evidence, venue choice where Virginia versus NY, statute of limitations, and whether this is an overreach. Lawyers warn it's a risky case to bring politically and legally. Imagine being in her shoes, accused publicly, legal peril that are looming while also trying to continue in public service and activism. And for the public, trust, integrity, accountability, all colliding in real time. Indicted AG endorsing a candidate under legal cloud, well, it's like a political crossover episode where the script's still being written midair. Will key parts of the indictment hold up or be dropped? Will James pivot into defense mode or continue aggressive campaigning? How will rival mayoral candidates exploit or even respond? Will the indicting jurisdiction, Virginia, prove challenging or beneficial? Okay, now that gives you a little bit of the backstories, the battle lines, and the human pulse behind today's headlines. And no matter what your party affiliation is, let's celebrate, even if it's just a possibility of peace. Let's rejoice humanity and its beauty. And until next time, this has been a crazy, absurd, happy, up and down, emotional roller coaster with ME. And I'm Ali Madawi. I will see you next time. Peace.
In a world of digital noise, your brand deserves a command center. Welcome to ME Studios, where your vision doesn't just get captured, it gets amplified. This isn't just another production space. This is your complete media powerhouse. Our multi-unit facility in New Jersey is engineered for brands that refuse to be overlooked. We transform your voice into professional podcasts streaming on Spotify, Amazon Music, and beyond. Your stories become headlines across 300 plus media outlets, including Fox, ABC. Behind every viral moment is strategy. Our content creation and SEO campaigns don't just chase trends, they create them. From concept to distribution, we build the digital presence others envy. Your brand, your voice, your time to dominate. Visit the mestudios.net and turn potential into impact.